I've covered a dozen of these, and I will be in Charlotte next week to cover my 13th convention. But I'll tell you, I think the way this format, I kind of like it. I mean, this has been very easy to digest. Now, nobody's watching. Viewership
Yeah,
is,
I think that's
so
the.
I don't know what the point is.
I think people have so many other things to be worried about right now. So the question is, are people really tuned into politics? I feel like more people this time have already made up their minds.
And I think at some point very soon, Joe Biden's going to have to be something other than not Donald Trump. He's got to tell them what he's about for the next 4 years. What's his vision?
I mean, there's a very, very progressive climate plan that environmental activists are saying is the most progressive that they've ever seen come out of a Democratic candidate.
Well, it was written by Ocasio-Cortez, so that's what you would expect.
There's also a criminal justice plan in place, reforming criminal justice at the national level. I think they would pick up very strongly on the things that the Obama administration did. They're going to have to try to sell that stuff. But conventions are not where you do that. Conventions are where you get up there and you give this great speech and people lose their minds, right?
No, I'd agree with that. But I would also say that they have to be careful about playing right into the Republican pitch. And their pitch next week in Charlotte is, well, yeah, Trump may turn you off. You may not like his tone, his temperament, his personality, but the alternative is way too far left for most Americans. There are a lot of people who are worried that the Joe Biden they used to know has been sort of hijacked by the party's far left. You can't unsee or unhear what you've seen and heard over the last 4 years. They can't make Donald Trump into something he hasn't been.
Yeah.
But there was a reason people voted for him 4 years ago, and a lot of that reason was he wasn't Hillary Clinton. They were afraid of Hillary Clinton. So they've got to make voters afraid of Joe Biden.
Their biggest challenge, of course, is cleaning up their own candidate and cleaning up their own act. One of the things that they're going to do at the Republican convention next week is have this couple from St. Louis who saw Black Lives Matter protests going out in front of their house, walking by, and came outside with their guns. They get a speaking spot at the national convention, which I don't understand in any way.
You don't understand because they didn't put them on the agenda to win your vote. They're not going to win your vote. You look at what's happened in gun sales in this country over the last 90 months, 3 months, the last 90 days. You look what's happened to gun and ammunition sales. They are speaking to a lot of Americans who are afraid about their safety.
About Black Lives Matter, yeah. That is playing to the racism that still exists both on the surface and underneath in this country. I mean, you saw them on camera acting the way that they did in front of a protest where no one else was armed and no one was threatening them. But here's the question. The president has leaned way more into that this time than he did 4 years ago. What he said about John Lewis, for instance, when he died was an example. And the question is, in 2020, can you win an election doing that? Is this a country that's still susceptible, the way it has been, to that kind of rhetoric? And I think the answer is no.
When people see violent spikes in murders, in crime, and they get worried about their own public safety, doesn't mean they're racist. They shouldn't have to prove that they're not racist by saying, yeah, burn our cities down, come on in here and spike up the crime rate. I don't think that's a winning argument.
Well, what makes you a racist is when you come out of your house in front of a peaceful protest with a gun, because they're African Americans marching down your street. I don't think that you can conflate, and the Republicans have been trying to do this and unsuccessfully, conflate what people are protesting about in the streets with violence. There has been violence in the streets about this summer. This is a very violent summer in a lot of American cities, including in Detroit, that actually has nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter protests. What brought violence to that was the police.
I'll be interested to see if Kamala Harris can deliver a law and order and a public safety message and still keep that progressive wing she was designed sort of to appease when she's when she was picked for the ticket. I think that's a real balancing act for her. There are a lot of people who don't want to vote for Trump. A lot of Republicans don't want to vote for Trump. Certainly a lot of independents. You are not going to get them to vote for Joe Biden if he swings hard left on almost every single issue, and if he gives the impression that he doesn't favor a strong police force and strong law and order. You can't scare people.
I think the challenge, and I'm not sure that you can do this, certainly at a convention, it would be harder even in the fall with the campaign, to define law and order in a really different way. Law and order for Black people has meant police doing whatever they feel they need to do, and mostly oppressing people's freedoms and taking their lives. And that message is not new. That message is 40 or 50 years old.
He needs those white voters, those rural voters who went for Trump, even though they weren't necessarily all that crazy for him, who can be won this time.